500, but I could not done without my team. When I come to the pits, you only see them for 8 seconds, but that's a very good thing. If they don't perform, I don't perform.
You have to do absolutely everything right on a given race weekend to win in IndyCar.
Your strategy's got to be right.
Every lap, you've got to be perfect, no mistakes allowed.
You got to be very consistent.
Hitting my marks, making my pit stops. You know, all I can do is control what's in my hands.
Pit stops have got to be inch perfect. The guys around you have got to make no mistakes.
Your entire team has to do everything right through the weekend.
It's got millions of different adjustments in that car, and it's got to be set up right.
The mechanics that have to do it right, everyone's got to execute in the pit lane. You got to spend the whole race basically mistake-free.
To win a race, it's a lot more complicated than we think.
We are nothing without our teammates, and today is their day to show off agility, precision, and speed at the world's greatest track, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Our 3 events here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway are finished. We have the IZOD pit stop competition coming up. 12 teams will determine who is the fastest and will be going for a lot of money and prestige of winning this event. So the race that we just saw is concluded. There will be no more on-track activity until next Sunday when the command is given to start engines. But this is one of the fun events for the people who gather here on Carb Day. As I said a little bit earlier, it's largely a crowd made up of graduates of high school and college, but they just love the pit stop competition, and we have a beautiful day to watch everything that happens in the next hour and a half or so. Robbie Floyd is down on pit lane.
Well, in baseball, we hear it. Basketball, this sweep, the three-peat. What is it all about in the IZOD IndyCar Series, and especially at the Indianapolis 500? We just have to look at the number 3. And last year, Helio Castroneves, we saw him take pole, then we saw him come back strong, or his team come back strong in the pit stop challenge. And then, of course, on that Sunday last year, taking his 3rd Indianapolis 500 victory. There's the crew that's going to get him to part 2 of this quest of the three-peat here this weekend. Lindy Thaxton, can Helio Castroneves make it 3 in a row, 2 years in a row?
Well, we'll see. And you know, Robbie, it doesn't matter what it is. There is going to be a rivalry between Penske and Ganassi. Pit stop competition is no different. Well, for Chip Ganassi's crews, they've not really been front runners here in this competition. Of course, they're hoping to change that this time. And Jack Arute, you might remember last year, you remember when that wheel gun got wrapped around Dario's nose in the semifinals?
All right, we're down here in the IZOD Pit Performance Center, and I want to show you one thing. When we start to analyze things for this race, let's talk about Helio Castroneves' crew. For those years when he did the sweep and he won the pit crew contest, well, the outside tire changer right here was his crew chief. That guy's name, I'll bring it up here, was Rick Reineman. Rick Reineman is no longer part of the team over the wall. In fact, Rick Reineman has been replaced by Sean Hanrahan. We've talked about it during the course of the regular season. First time through for Hanrahan today. I saw Rick Reineman. I said, what are you doing today? He says, I'm just going to make sure that Sean takes care of business and they bring home the trophy, guys.
Well, it's a fun event. And Helio Castroneves has his name on this event, and so does Team Penske. 11 wins in this competition. The Rick Gallus team won 6, but notice the absence of Target Chip Ganassi. They have never won this particular competition, but they certainly will be out to try to do so today. Helio Castroneves, as we indicated, has won on 4 different occasions. In 2002, he went up against Jeff Ward in the finals. In 2006, Dario Franchitti was his opponent in the final round, but again, the Penske team got the job done. 2007, Helio also winning the competition. That's Marco Andretti, who was runner-up last year. Back with more from Indianapolis in a moment.
He's in a hurry. Anxiously awaiting. Oh, look out. Look out.
Kind of a scary situation there in last year's pit stop competition with the air jack being taken down the pit lane by Dario Franchitti. Well, we join you again here today for what is always a fun event, but in terms of importance, it is very important, of course, to have good pit stops. It's been said before, we can say it again, that could very well be where the race is won and lost on Sunday.
And Bob, I think it was decided last year on pit road. And you look at the number of stops. Last year it was 6. The year before it was 8. And keep in mind that the leader the last 2 years, or the winner, every single stop was under yellow. That doesn't mean the pressure is off. When it's a yellow pit stop, everyone's on pit road at the same time. The pressure is actually elevated. Everyone's there at the same time. A tenth of a second can make the difference, and it has. But Robbie, today, this competition is a little bit different.
It is. It's a different mindset. This competition is all about these crew guys, and they work year-round to be a part of this. I know for our team, Dry Iron Rival, we said, hey, guys, do you want to take the opportunity to be in this because we earned the right? I said, it's a little extra work. They're like, yeah, we're going to rebuild that backup car. So they put a car together, and the last 2 days, on top of everything else, to be out there, they want to show something, as does every team. This is their moment where it's a little bit of pride. Who is really nerve-wracking for, and he doesn't want to screw it up, is the driver.
And you finished second as a driver one year, right?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
I'll take that.
All right, let's take a look at the format. It's a little bit different. It's single elimination this year. So the first 2 teams to go up against each other will be Scott Dixon and Will Power. Then Ryan Hunter-Ray and Tony Kanaan, Hideki Muto and Dan Weldon, and Franchitti and Wilson, and then they go into round number 2 against the driver you see there on the right, Patrick Castroneves, Briscoe, and Marco Andretti. Everything is being readied down on the pit lane where the contest will be run. There are the pit crews getting themselves and their equipment ready. And as Robbie said, there's a lot of training that goes on among members of the pit crew getting ready for Sunday and also getting ready for the competition this afternoon.
Racing is a team sport, and to have the whole team work out together and understand and working in the same goals towards both fitness development, strength development, speed development, reaction time, drills, all of the things that go into a training system creates the ultimate team ideal. There's chiropractic, there's massage therapy, physical therapy, rehabilitational training, performance training, hot yoga, group fitness classes, row classes, boxing classes, a variety of different things that really encompass all of the benefits that can go into a full fitness regimen.
Ryan Hunter-Ray's Izod pit crew gets ready to go. They'll be in the second round of competition. There is the air gun, a very important part of making a quick pit stop. Who better to explain what goes on? Professor B, and here he is once again.
The race car is not the only high-performance item you're going to find on pit road. Case in point, the wheel gun. Now, if you like power tools, this is the ultimate power tool. You can put up to 350 PSI from a nitrogen bottle, giving you almost 500 foot-pounds of torque for these wheel changes. But they're not cheap. This is a Dino Paoli model. Costs about $3 grand as the base unit. You put a hop-up on the back and a $1,000 wheel socket, and you're over $5 grand per corner of the car. Now, the reason the socket is so expensive is not just because it's titanium, but look at all the little embedded magnets. The reason there is that when you get it into position, it grabs a hold of the wheel nut, and when you're between the pit stop, between on and off, it very firmly grasps it into the socket. Now, the tendency when you're making a fast pit stop is to want to pull the gun off instead of putting pressure forward. And if you do that, you can pull this off of the socket and shoot this thing down pit road like a buzzsaw. And I guarantee you that each tire changer has at least shot one of these down pit road somewhere in their career. Now, each of the sides of the car of the gun are coated, color-coded. This is blue for the left-hand side of the car. Reason being, the wheel nuts are different threaded on the left and the right side of the car. If you want to change direction to put it on, this is how you do it. But it's designed so we can just drop it and it'll change direction. The way I always remember the nuts go is they go back on towards the back of the car. And you're good to go.
$20,000 per corner of the car for just the air gun.
But you can use them season after season.
Well, yeah, but still, man, that's a lot of money.
But it's a lot of ongoing maintenance. I mean, they take the guns apart and rebuild them. I mean, service them constantly.
Yeah? Wow.
Yeah.
We are almost ready to go. We have pit crews in line, and the cars are in position with the drivers in the cockpit. Team Dixon with Scott and Will Power's team will be the first two in competition here this afternoon. We will be entertained all afternoon by, of course, the pit stop competition. But we also have a group down on pit lane that will be serenading us all afternoon long. Looking forward to that. A big crowd on hand here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway today, as we're just a couple of days away from the greatest spectacle in racing, the 2010 edition of the Indianapolis 500. Rival Sons is the name of the band down on pit lane. Pit stop challenge. It's Dixon against Power. Will was away first with a 7.968. Now, of course, the tires will be checked to see if there are any penalties assessed. If not, it looks like that Will and Ryzen Team Penske is going to go to the second round.
That was definitely a heavy hitter round. Anytime you start right off the bat with Penske versus Ganassi, those with the top teams doing their business.
Watch the right front guy. Look where his tire gun is there. He barely even moves it. He already has it set it right at the level where the wheel hub's going to come through. And as soon as that car is dropped in this competition, as soon as it's dropped, he goes.
Can't do much better than that, can you? Great stop. Down to Jack Arute.
All right, guys, what I want to do is I want to analyze what might have been the change there. And if you notice back here in the rear tire area, what I want to show you is they have come up with a technique that we've talked about before. Now, normally in the past, you would see in this area here, the driver, the crew member would have the wheel down on the ground. When you looked at that replay with Will Power's team, they had it actually up, so it was a little easier to get. They told me that that's something that they learned with their pit stop competitions in that 43,000 square foot facility that they have down there in Charlotte, North Carolina. And when they cross-pollinated with their NASCAR crews, it was something that they learned they could shave just a little second or so off of each stop.
All right, Jack, there you can see Will Power, the winner of that first contest with Scott Dixon. Tony Kanaan coming up in our next segment. Can he do well here in the Pit Stop Challenge? At the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's IZOD Pit Stop competition time. We've already had one event with Will Power beating Scott Dixon. Power with a 7.968 second stop. Now they must change all 4 tires, of course, and simulate a fuel hookup. The winner of the activity here this afternoon will walk away with $50,000. We're getting set now for the second matchup, which is Ryan Hunter-Reay against Tony Kanaan. There is Ryan Hunter-Reay, not yet in the car, and Tony Kanaan talking to Rocket, who is the technical advisor to the Kevin Blanche, the IZOD IndyCar Series. Let's go down to Robbie Floyd, who will talk about Ryan Hunter-Reay.
And Ryan's trying to give a thumbs up. He's outside his car right now. I don't know how he's going to drive it without his helmet on and in the car, but he's giving thumbs up to his team. You know, a lot of pressure is on not only the team, but the drivers. They don't want to bog either coming in or coming out, overshoot, you know, just like in a regular pit stop competition. But Ryan has a solid team behind him, led by crew chief Jeff Simon. He won the 2004 IZOD IndyCar Series Championship back with Tony Kanaan, another member of Tony Kanaan's team from last year. Nino Venetia is going to be working on the right rear. Look for those two guys in the 6-man crew trying to take home the winner's share of that $100,000 paycheck, Lindy.
Not an easy couple weeks for TK's crew. As we know, they had to make major repairs after 2 crashes. Have spent hour upon hour here. But on top of that, one of their rear tire changers was in the shop this week working on a fuel cell, and there was a flash fire, and he got burns on his arm. He is in the hospital. They hope he gets out today. He has one of the longest histories on TK's crew, and Jack, obviously, we wish him well.
Down here in the IZOD Performance Pit, guys, let's talk a little bit about the way this shakes down. Now, normally, all of the pits here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway are concrete. There's a reason for that. But when you have this pit stop competition, well, let's take a look. When you get up in there, what you basically have got is you've got the asphalt, which is the main line going on the outside. Well, the asphalt, everybody tells me, may be slightly less grippier. Is that a word in the lexicon? People actually prefer to choose the concrete. Now, the key is you get lane choice based upon how you move up through the series past the semifinals. Up until then, lane choice has been by the luck of the draw.
What was it, Jack? Less grippier, is that what he said?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll let you get away with that.
At this point, less grippier hasn't been the issue. There's been a big spread between at least our first round. If you have 2 people that have flawless pit stops, then maybe lane choice could be an issue. At the moment, you just have to make no mistakes.
And remember, the setup on these cars, sure, you know, these is what we're going to see on track for the 500. You know, these same crew guys going over the wall. But what they've actually done to make things faster, they've actually changed the camber on the left side of the car, or the right side of the car, so the wheels stand straight up. So when the guys go to pull the wheels off, it's a little bit easier. It's not just hung up that little bit. So there's a ton of subtle work that we don't see. It looks like, oh, that's just going to be the car he's going to race come Sunday. No, there's a bunch of subtle work that these crew guys take pride in that says, oh, I'm just going to be that much faster. Just like Jack said, the one guy that's feeding the tire, look at that. And we know those two guys have really gotten on very well as teammates at Andretti Autosport and exchanging information. So that's fun to see.
Well, the good news is that the pressure is off of these two in a way because they're teammates and it's all one team. We have seen so many of Ryan Hunter-Reay's crew working on Tony Kanaan's car throughout all of his trials and tribulations. So they're all a happy family, and they know one of them's going to advance and one isn't. They're not going to be too disheartened if they don't, unlike the first one we saw with that big rivalry between Penske and Ganassi.
Well, maybe Tony Kanaan can salvage something out of this month. Of course, we have the race to run yet, but be nice maybe if he could win this pit stop challenge, because he has been through quite a bit. Last weekend on Saturday, during his qualification run, the car out from under him slides through the short chute into the second turn and makes contact with the outside safer barrier in the second corner. And then on Sunday, the car hits the safer barrier in the short chute and has second impact in turn number 2. And they rebuilt that car right there that he qualified for 32nd position, but they will go to the car that he wrecked on Saturday, his primary car, and that means he loses just 1 position and will start 33rd on race day.
A lot of recapping to what has happened with TK. And I can tell you guys, I was back in the TV compound and just watching the monitor in the background when we were talking, and somebody kept saying, "Are you guys watching this? Are you guys watching this?" referring to his second incident on Sunday morning. I'm like, yeah, I'm watching it. That's just replays of yesterday. And they said, "Are you watching this?" Because it was so identical to what happened Saturday the day before.
All right, we're getting ready now for heat number 2, Ryan Hunter-Reay against Tony Kanaan. Lindy is right down there where all the action is, so we'll send it down to her for the call of round number 2, heat number 2.
And as you've all mentioned, they are not only teammates, but they have become close friends. And so competition's good when it's people not on the same team, but in this case, you know they want to do this just for a sense of pride. So we will wait for that green flag to drop, which should happen here momentarily.
Given the wave off like he has an issue.
Okay.
And it's worth pointing out that it's very important to note that these are won or lost by the time. So when someone gets into their pit box first, it's not that relationship. It's when you cross the line and when you leave. So even though someone might be the first one to pull out, keep a close eye on the time, because it's not when you pull away, it's the total time between the two timelines.
Yeah, so when we see somebody get a jump on the other one, don't think that he's already ahead of the other one, because it's all off of the clock. They don't go when the green flag drops. It's tripping that line. Great point.
Cars carry transponders, and when they cross the in line, they start it, and when they cross the out line, they stop it. What's the problem here? Any idea?
Well, when you see a laptop that is plugged in to get information from HPD onto performance development.
They brought the battery in, and there they are talking to the HPD guy. George Klotz there in the silver shirt was talking to the
and there goes TK.
Again, the clock hasn't started there, guys, for Ryan Hunter-Reay. So if he can get out and post a time, he still has the ability to beat TK.
Oh! Man, where was first gear?
TK was slow to pull away there.
But it may not matter.
Obviously, they're having some electronic issues or something with downloading. They're replugging in a battery. All that is just a battery they plug in to add a little extra juice there as they're looking in at the dashboard. Lights on the dashboard.
Yeah. That's not what he was hoping for.
That's for sure.
It's not what Andretti Autosport was kind of a theme, unfortunately. As you were saying, boy, wouldn't it be great if TK could win this, and he's moved on, but
he didn't have a really good pit stop because it was 11.833 seconds, and the fastest has been 7.9.
Well, last year that would have been a problem because it was not single elimination.
Yeah.
This year he's through.
Yep, that's right.
So that means nothing.
It means nothing.
You throw that away.
Well, TK does move on to round number 2. He will battle Elio Castro-Neves and Team Penske.
Will Powers in there telling him what's going on.
Yeah, I think that Ryan is saying, well, come on, let's get this thing done so I can run, and I don't think he is considering himself eliminated at this point.
He says there's a solution.
All right, Ryan, what's happening?
There's something with the engine that's just, it's not right now, but we're trying to override the ECU and let us just go. They called us off.
pretty early, so hopefully we'll get to go.
All right, it was one of those cases you're saying, you fired up, I can still do this.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, ECU, engine control unit, basically the computer brain for the engine. There are specific rev limits on pit road, and that was what he was mentioning earlier on.
Jack?
Well, guys, you saw Tony Kanaan have a momentary bobble, and I think you were the one, Jan, that said, oh, where's first gear? Well, we've got one of the steering wheels here, and, we've got the paddle shifting. Did he forget? Was he so excited? I tend to think that maybe because there wasn't the pressure of having someone side by side, basically what happened is maybe he didn't hit the paddle and put it in the correct gear. What do you think, Jan?
I have a feeling he clicked the paddle, but Jack, what can happen sometimes? It's called dog to dog. It's just a technical term that it doesn't go all the way into gear. The gears actually hit themselves instead of falling into position, and that's part of the thing that Helio Castroneves has talked about a lot, where he had issues leaving the pits during the race last year.
TK's car is being pushed northward again, so as to indicate that this heat may be over. Robbie?
I actually have Kevin Blanche, a.k.a. Rocket, here. What is the official word with Ryan Hunter-Reay?
Well, it seemed to be something happened when he revved the motor, and we kind of have a time limit we got to fit in with, so he's out. I hate it for him, but, we got to fit within them times, so that's just the way it goes.
You can't let him run solo in a little bit?
No, you run head-to-head here. It's really like different. Last year it's head-to-head competition, so you're either in or you're out.
All right, now my cameraman here, Kevin, is this is the end line right here. This is where the clock starts, right here in front of us?
Yeah, clock starts here, and then about 4 or 5 feet in front of the wall is where it ends.
That's where all the magic happens.
Right in this box right here, baby.
Thanks a lot, Rocket.
So Ryan Hunter-Reay is out. Tony Kanaan advances, and he goes against Helio Castroneves. But coming up in our third heat, Hideki Muto against Dan Weldon. More Indy 500 programming on Versus. Up next, Danica's Decade, an inside look at the events which shaped her career. Tomorrow at 5, you can see all the 500 drivers in the Indy 500 Festival Parade. That's at until 6:30, and then be sure to tune in for ABC's coverage of the Indy 500 and our post-race special, 4:30 on Sunday. We'll wrap it up and break down all the action. Don't miss it. Our post-race show at 4:30 after the 500-mile race on Sunday. We're in the semifinals now. It's going to be Danica Patrick against 4-time winner Helio Castroneves. Robbie?
Well, you talk about the pressure that these pit crews are under. Tom Veen, the left rear for Danica Patrick's only 24 years of age from Arizona. He's the youngest member of Andretti Autosport. And then you look at Chris Walker, the Jackman. That kind of got me thinking. Jackman for Danica's team. Something didn't quite jibe there. So the GoDaddy car, Danica Patrick's ride, has a conflict of interest. Paula Hosa, who works for GoDaddy, is married to Pat Hosa, who is the Jackman for Helio. Maybe a little conflict of interest there, Linda.
As we've seen with the other drivers in their times, they're not making it easy on Helio. Roger Penske standing by, hoping to see for the second time Helio do the triple here. Pole, pit stop competition, and the race. And as Roger looks on, his fueler, John Haslett, guys, he's actually been with Roger Penske for 20-plus years.
Yeah, John Haslett's one of those guys that has been around here for years and years and years. I mean, you see him every time you come out here, and got a fine job with Team Penske now. Well, is Helio going to advance, or will he be dethroned as the defending champion?
Well, Danica pretty much said that she had a hard time saying that Tony Kanaan could beat him. So now she's up against Helio, saying that, well, those guys put a lot of effort in and actually have a different technique for doing the pit stop competition than they do the race. So hopefully she hasn't psyched herself out of that.
Well, Robbie, they'll soon be firing the engines and getting ready to see who goes to the finals.
and the GoTaddy team is on my near side, ready to go. I think a little bit of surprise that they moved into this round. No surprise for the number 3 of Elio Castroneves. I was talking to Abe, Eric Prentice, the right rear tire changer. He said, can you please say, you know, I love you to my wife, Adriana, and daughter, Brianna, and his son, Tyler. So they're watching, I'm quite sure, hoping Daddy can bring home part of that $50,000 first place prize. Now, they do split it among the team. And it's not just the over-the-wall crew, guys. The team from the 3 car, they go to split it out. However many they are, they're going to break it down if they can win here and make it 4 in a row for Elio Castroneves. So here we go. Elio Castroneves in the number 3. Danica Patrick in the 7. Who's going to move on to the finals? Elio with a good launch. They were practicing pit stops all day yesterday, getting it down into 3 seconds without having to change fuel. Let's find out what they can do today. Danica looks like she was wanting to bog off the line. Elio is cruising. Danica is now out. Elio Castroneves, you know why he's won so many, because that crew is solid.
Yes, they are.
And when I was just focusing on Elio's stuff, I was just looking for any type of hiccups in that whatsoever and didn't see anything. Perfect.
Oh, he had a little bit of lockup, did Elio, but he still hit the marks.
Same thing he did before. You know, he ran through just a little bit, but still, man, they get the tires on and drop them quick. A little slower to come in, though. There's the trade-off. You know, Danica's a little slower to come in versus going past, as Elio did.
And here's the Elio ISO.
You know one thing, Robbie, he locked the brakes, but then he got his foot off the brake because you don't want to come skidding in there with it stopped. That was very nice by Elio, knowing that he might miss the marks, get off because you don't want to come in with them locked. The guys are used to have the wheels rotating, and that helped.
So Elio Castroneves does move to the finals. Boy, he's looking good for another win in this competition, Jack.
Ellie, I don't know if it was your experience with Dancing with the Stars or what, but you know how to hit your marks now.
Well, sorry, man.
I mean, you came in and you locked that sucker right up, and it was picture perfect.
I guess I have to say the guys, they are like hard on me on the first one. You did stop on your mark. You were 2 feet long. I'm like, I'm sorry, so I'll take it easy next time. So sometimes a little bit of a slap on the hand paid off.
Well, let's turn around and say, what do you think, guys? How did he do that time? A little bit better?
Oh, yeah, he did fine. That's it.
Well, redemption, that's good.
Oh, they did good. Yeah,
good luck.
I'm terrible, man. It's tough to do this. You don't want to make a mistake to these guys. They deserve this. They're incredible. Awesome,
good luck,
awesome
man.
team.
Well, Danica has fallen by the wayside, but really was very impressive here going to the semifinals, but losing to Elio. So Elio is in line to win another one. He, in the next matchup, will be Hideki Muto against Justin Wilson. The winner of that will go to the finals. Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There is Hideki Muto getting set for his semifinal matchup against Justin Wilson. We are coming down to the final runs here, and Lindy, Justin is set to go there.
Yeah, and Bob, you know, it's funny to talk to these guys and really see their personalities on days like this. And their left rear tire changer, Ryan, and his last name is Hauptstueck. I went up to them, I'm like, all right, how in the world do you say this? They said, we don't know. We just call him hopscotch. That's just who he is to us. But just a note on the left front, Brad Wright, we saw with the eye injury. He's fine, guys. Robbie?
Good.
Well, 60 years of experience for Newman Haas team and Hideki Muto. Kind of a surprise getting in here if there ever was one. I don't think they even expected to get in here, but they have a solid crew behind them. Todd Phillips, he was actually Graham's crew chief last year when he was with the team. And the outside front, Tim Coffin, he was actually with Bobby D and Oriol Servia last year when he was part of the Newman Haas Lanigan team. And after 400, this is actually the 450th race for Newman Haas. They've won 600-mile or 500-mile races before 6 times, but they've never won the Indy 500.
Used to be Newman Haas Lanigan. Now it's back to Newman Haas once again. And there is the matchup.
Now, it's worth noting, Bob, we didn't have the times right away from that previous round, but we have now seen that Castroneves has the fastest time of the entire day at a 7.8.
He just keeps getting better and better as time goes along. All right, Lindy.
Yeah, Helio's definitely not going to be easy. Whoever makes it out this round, it takes him off in the final, and there they go. Justin Wilson and Hideki Muto both taking off right around the same time. They'll do those 4 tires quickly. You're looking at Justin Wilson. Now we're looking at Hideki Muto, and boy, almost done. Hideki Muto advances to the final round.
Look how close that is. Well, it's a second, isn't it? Yeah.
Something happened to Justin. Good start, but one a miss.
Problem on the right rear, maybe. Well, how about Hideki Muto goes to the finals against Elio? Man. All right, let's watch both of them.
The mark's pretty good. It's Chase Selman, and he's as good as anybody going over the wall. Quick, agile, works at it, but he just had the fumble when he picked it up. Watch when he picks up this right rear, right there. Still a pretty darn quick recovery, but that, you know, that 1 second in this game right here in the pit stop competition, that's it.
Gun hang up there on the nose of the car, Jack.
Let's talk about the problem in the right rear. We saw it on the replay. Were you aware of that, Justin?
I know the guy on the right front was jumping up and down saying, get the car down, get the car down. But, you know, sometimes it doesn't work out for you. We had a great stop the one before. But, you know, just got to thank the guys. They're doing a great job, especially Brad, who got hit with the quick lift jack just before the second stop we did. So, you know, he's hung in there and did a great job.
Well, good performance.
Thank you.
And Hideki. Yeah. What can we say? I mean, you're in the finals, dude.
Yes, finally, but still, guys doing a fantastic job. I mean, that guy told me that I need to brake this time a little later, so I did it. But look, the front wheels, and yes, I'm having fun and exciting.
Now it's all up to you. Do you realize you're going against a 4-time winner?
Yeah, I just go for it. Go big or go home.
Now, that says it all. I think he's going big, guys, because I know he ain't going home.
That was great.
He certainly knows some American slang, doesn't he?
Yes, he did.
All right, it has come down to this. Elio Castroneves looking for 5 wins in this competition. Will be going against Hideki Muto in the finals of the IZOD pit stop competition here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The finals are coming up when we come back. The infield here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where we have thousands of people on hand here today for the Carb Day activities, including the IZOD Indy 500 pit stop competition. There is just a small portion of the crowd, and about 300,000 people will be here on Sunday to watch the 2010 edition of the greatest spectacle in racing, the Indianapolis 500. All right, this finals are coming up. It'll be Elio Castroneves in the far lane over there against Hideki Muto here in the near lane. Drivers who have won the pole, the pit stop competition, and the race: Elio in 2009, last year, Buddy Rice in 2004, and Bobby Unser did it in 1981. Certainly, Hideki has got his work cut out for him, Robbie.
Yes, he does, but he has an experienced team behind him. The average age, I want to reiterate, is 40-year-old average age. Fino is 57 years old, the outside front tire changer. Been with the team 22 years. I mean, these guys work out all the time, and every every day they practice stops. And I was talking to members of the crew just a moment ago, and they said they actually have a machine that launches the car so they can practice these stops and practice every day, Lindy Thaxton.
And the pressure is on, and you can see it on their faces. And the drivers will all say this is their crew guys moment, this competition. And since they've made it to the finals, let's just give them a little credit that's due here. Crew chief on Elio, Sean Hanrahan, left front, Matt Rosenthal, right rear, Eric Prentice, left rear, Clay Turner, Jackman, Pat Hotza, and guys, as we talked about, 20-plus years with Roger Penske, the fueler, John Haslett.
Newman Haas Racing won this competition back in 1987 with Mario Andretti. Robbie.
Will he do it again, just like last year? Elio Castroneves, number 3, Penske Racing, and the underdog, Hideki Muto, the 06. The man switching teams last year was on Andretti Autosports, now trying to win one for Newman Haas, as you just mentioned, Jack. Now, it was so funny. These guys didn't even know they were doing this until a couple of days ago. And just earlier, before we started, Hideki Muto was like, where is the timeline? He didn't know anything about it. Now they may win the lion's share of that $100,000 prize. $50,000 goes to the winner. A big drop-off for second, $15,000. Kind of has that American Graffiti look right now, doesn't it? Elio going for that sweep. We talked about it at the top of the show. This will complete part 2 of the 3-part series if we can do it. The underdog, Hideki Muto, on the near side in the white car. All right, we're ready to go. The green flag's about to drop. And it looks like it's going to be a race to that timeline. A little spinning from Elio, but he is in hard. Eric Prentice around from Elio's side. You're seeing Muto's side. It looks like a little bit slower, and you're going to have it again. Elio Castroneves off. If everything goes well, it looks like Elio Castroneves, another win here in the Izod Pit Stop Challenge.
Wow. That gives Team Penske 12 wins in this competition. Of course, he's won the Indianapolis 500 15 times, and 5 for Elio Castroneves. Think there's a fence to climb? I do.
I think the crew needs to climb the fence.
Yeah, well, that would be appropriate, wouldn't it?
I tell you, what a fantastic job.
Yep, they are good.
You know, as we always hear Elio say, I tell you I love these guys. This is why.
Yep.
This is why.
And there are the members of the team that has walked off with $50,000.
I can tell you his right front guy, Sean Hanrahan, he was on my Indy Lights team in 1990, and I think he was probably 17 years old, and he's now replaced Rick Reineman, who was with Elio forever, his tenure at Penske, till this change. Obviously, that change didn't change anything, and I saw Reineman right around these guys. Even though he's not going over the wall, he's here rooting them on.
All right, let's look at him again.
Elio does have a little bit of lockup, but he gets off. Again, he was modulating that brake pedal and stopped it exactly where they wanted him, and there were no...
You know, I'm looking for the guys, too, when we go over to Hideki's car. You talked about riding on his wing earlier and pushing on that. I didn't see anybody up on that. Ooh, a little heavy.
There's some excitement there.
And nobody riding on his wing. Let's watch.
Well, I don't think anybody would have thought that Hideki Muto's team would make the finals, but they showed themselves very, very well, losing to Elio, but still
they knew.
They knew it that day, didn't they?
Yeah, that's why there was no...
That's riding. He just kind of got up there and was like,
there was no surfing there.
Jack?
Well, Hideki, you said you were gonna go big, and you kind of went for the fences, and you came up with a ground rule double.
Yeah, I went big, but this time didn't work. But at least, you know, guys can change tires pretty fast. So, you know, Sunday come, that's the real business. So hopefully we can make progress in the pit stop and have a good race.
You've had great performances here in your previous visits to the Indianapolis 500. Now with this under your belt, does that pump the crew up and then in turn pump you up for race day?
Definitely, you know, I mean, as I said, now I know that we can gain position during pit stop, so that's a very strong point of the race. So yes, we are ready.
So practice I love milk.
I love milk.
There you go, boys.
Well, Jack, I'm here with John Haslett, the fueler we've been talking about. I see you trying to keep track of your tires over there. So we've been talking about how you've been with Roger Penske for more than 20 years. So what is it about this crew that works?
I think it's the camaraderie with the team together. Everybody works together. Even though we have a new crew chief now, it seems like everything pulls together in the end. We have Rick Reineman as a pit coach, so he's helped us a lot. And just Roger Penske himself as a team leader kind of leads us in the right direction all the time.
Even Danica was commenting on how much you guys practice. How much is it?
A lot. We practice at the shop 4 times a week, and we practiced out here probably more than anybody else every day for at least 10 push-ins a time. So, and it shows.
So tell me, when that car's pulling up, it's literally right there. What's going through your mind?
Just to concentrate on what you know you need to do. You practice so many times, you just got to make it happen. And it's repetitivity or doing the same thing all the time. Repetition is really what it takes.
You get nervous?
You do, yeah, but that's the adrenaline that you're looking for. So it is. It's good to have that. You need adrenaline to perform.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Bob?
Helio Castroneves has done it again. He has taken another step toward the clean sweep. Can he win his 4th Indianapolis 500 this Sunday? He's won 5 pit stop competitions.
Here in the makeshift victory lane in front of the Izod Performance Pit, Helio Castroneves has just received the $50,000 check. And Helio, it didn't take long for the crew to grab it.
I know, these guys are incredible. Let me tell you, all of this, you guys shouldn't all talk to me. You should talk to each one of them 4 times in a row. Is that what it is, guys? It's unbelievable. And then this big man here, these 2 guys, he used to be my crew chief. This is my new crew chief. Well done. Those guys do a great match. And Rick, tell them about the good job you're doing with these boys. Come on, man.
Yeah, Rick, let's talk a little bit. Sean Hanmer, we were talking about it and mentioned earlier in the season that you're back at the Penske shop, but you guys have been working pretty closely together.
Yeah, Rick actually oversees the pit practice that we do at the shop, and he's the one who drives the hammer and points out when we're making flaws and where we have to pick it up, and you know, he's really pushing us hard, and it's working well.
Rick, what have you seen now that you're in that role? What have you seen that you've been able to add to this team?
Well, I mean, of course, the driver helps a lot, but these guys were awesome today. I slept last night for the first time, you know, in 50 years. Yeah, 50 years for pit stop competition. These guys, I mean, it's the toughest thing they do, and to do what they did today, hats off.
What is different, Sean, about doing it in a pit stop competition and the 6 to 8 times that you'll have to do it if you want to get to victory lane again?
Well, when you're doing it here, you're cutting the corners just a little bit. I mean, you're trying to beat the other guys, and you're doing everything you can. During the race, you have to just give it a little extra just to make sure that, you know, because here, you're going to send the car 100 yards. On the track, you're going to send it for quite a few miles, so you got to make sure those wheel nuts are, you know, maximum tight and, you know, everything's perfect. So here, you're just knocking just the corners off.
Without giving away any of the tricks of the trade, a lot of people do prepare for pit stop competition differently than they do for the race. How often did you practice to be specifically in the pit stop competition?
We've been practicing all week. We've set up our pit stop area by our garage, and, you know, we've been beating our hands up. Got bloody knuckles from it. We've been working it all week at it, so.
And I thought it was pretty apropos and pretty nice, Rick, that the first thing the crew said is they wanted to bring you in for this picture
you know,
as well.
I appreciate it. And, like I said, the guys did a fantastic job. This is not easy. And to do it 4 years in a row, it's unbelievable. Credit to everybody here.
Now, I do remember that on the way up, you did remind him that he's now a member of the AARP, though.
We just got him his card last week.
Let's see if we can get a word with Tim Cindric, because he is the head of this operation. And Tim, we talk about it all the time. It's all about the little details. And you've got a crew here that seem to be drilled in the most minute details.
Yeah, without a doubt. And a lot
of it comes down to initiative. You know, you can't buy that, and you know everybody responds differently to pressure. When you see it out here, these guys have been able to do it year in and year out. Rick Reineman handed over the baton to Sean Hanrahan, and then helping those guys to the next level. It's a big deal, and you know Elio, he's still got to drive the thing, so he hasn't forgot how to do that.
Hey Elio, come here for 1 second. I know you're aware of it because I know these guys remind you all the time. You're going for another sweep. Pole, pit stop competition. I hate to break the news to you. Sunday's what counts. You can go for the triple.
I totally agree with you. I have the team, man. When you have the team, you got to go confident over there. You got the best strategy guys out there. So I know what I need to do it. So now it's just a matter of if you're meant to be, we'll be.
Is it pressure packed? I mean, everybody's talking about it. You joining that elite club, should you win and be a 4-time winner?
You know, pressure, you're the one bring it on. And these guys here, they do a great job under pressure. They bring the best out of everybody, not only myself, but everybody. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. So this is the master of golf, you know. This is the best drivers in Indianapolis, in the world. So that's why you got to perform in that level.
You know, I get the great opportunity. I'm blessed to see and listen to what you have to say to him and to the crew each and every week. How much of it now, Tim Cindric, do you have to play Dr. Phil as well as tactician?
Well, in race day, for sure, it's 90% of the decisions you could make. But that other 10%, just understanding what to say and when to say it at the right time, that has a lot to do with, you know, whether it's a crew chief in the NASCAR world or whether it's what I do day to day, has a lot to do with what you're trying to accomplish, and you have to know what your boundaries are and what your goals are. And with this guy, I think I understand him pretty well after 11 years.
And you have an amazing way to just inject a little bit of humor now and again to lighten everything.
Yeah, every day, you know, you have to remind him to take a breath, you know, and when he hears that, he knows exactly what that means, a little bit of patience. But, you know, it's like he says all the time, it's a team. And, you know, he's the quarterback in the deal. He's really nobody's boss, but he's the one that everybody responds to. And you couldn't ask for a better guy behind the wheel.
Hey, Robbie Floyd, this is a team that's trying to take a giant slice of immortality come Sunday.
And a big member of that team is Ryan Briscoe. Been signing autographs here for everybody that's been asking, how hard is it going to be living with Helio Castroneves around the garage area here today after 4 now?
Oh, he's unbelievable. I mean, the guy's just a master around this place. He's greedy. He takes it all. Pole, pit stop competition. You know, hopefully he shares the love a little bit on Sunday and lets one of his teammates win. You know, maybe the 6 car. But yeah, he's pretty good.
You talked about it. He said he's 4 of these. Now he's destined to win this. Does it kind of get in your head? I mean, that just builds confidence when your team and your whole crew's so solid.
No, I've got a plan, actually. I'm just going to ghost him from the time I wake up on Sunday morning. I'm just going to follow him wherever he goes and do whatever he does, eat what he eats, and maybe just try to get him at the end of the race. But no, I mean, you can learn so much from him around this place. I mean, he's got a ton of confidence, and you know, he's won these races by being smart. And you know, we've all got great pit crews. There's no doubt about that. And it's going to be hot Sunday. We just got to keep our heads screwed on tight and be there at the end.
I thought you were going to win last year's race during the race when I was watching it. This year, how is the car handling after that last practice?
I feel better prepared than I've ever been at this race. You know, I'm feeling really confident going into the race, and it's a long one. So I feel great. You know, I think any one of these Team Penske cars are going to be the ones to beat. Yeah, you know, hopefully we just have it all running smoothly on Sunday.
Now, when you come back and you debrief and you talk, how are you all talking amongst each other? Because your cars are set up differently, or are they?
They're very close. Yeah, you'd be surprised actually how close.
That's scary.
It is scary, you know. And you know, when I'm out there, I know what I've got. You know, Elio's got and what Will's got. But that's good. You know, we've been working so closely together all month long, and the engineers are really working closely. It's just a very good and strong group we've got going on here at the moment. And you know, once we get out there in the race, you know, we're racing against each other. But up until this point, it's all been about teamwork, teamwork, teamwork.
He knows what he's got, Bob Jenkins. Hopefully he has enough to win the Indianapolis 500.
Well, it will be one of 33, and we can't wait for Sunday to get here to see the 2010 edition. His teammate Helio Castroneves has won the 2010 IZOD Pit Stop competition. It's all about the team, and Helio recognizes that. $50,000 to Team Penske. Become a member of IndyCar Nation. Log on to Indy.com for free live timing and scoring, race control, exclusive membership, benefits, and much more. Become a fan of the IndyCar Nation at www.indycar.com. All right, well, you can see the crowd is making its way over to the stage where the concert involving ZZ Top will take place. We, less than a week ago on Saturday, got this whole thing started with a brand new format in Pole Day. Let's go back and take a look at what happened on that day. It's Pole Day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 2010 500.
This is the kind of start that Alex Tagliani wants. The ruler says he's P1.
Yeah, 226.640, taking the short way around. Wow.
He's a three-time pole sitter, a three-time winner in car number 3, but he wants some 4s starting today.
The green flag comes out. Elio Castroneves is on his qualifying run.
This is what's going to determine what you pick for your pits.
He is P2 at the moment.
Tony Kanaan, the hard charger on course. Go get it, Kanaan. Oh, my goodness, the car breaks away. He spins backwards. Look out. Hits the wall.
Yeah, it's a tough one, you know. I feel bad for TK. I think he had a fast car and, you know, just got a little loose in the middle of one and lost it.
Checkered flag waving for Danica Patrick qualifying for the 500.
This is the worst car I've ever had. Somehow I wish it would just be over with now.
It's awful. It's awful. Are you going to go back out or do you wait for the shootout?
Obviously, whatever they tell me to go, I'll go.
Castroneves is cruising.
Checkered flag for Elio. He does it. He's P1 with an average of 226.774. Now Tagliani is P2 with a 226.392.
This kid's been fast, and just as we say it, he loses it. The back end comes around. Mario Moraes makes contact on the right-hand side.
EJ Viso took the green flag, then dumped the throttle and is coasting into pit lane.
Here comes Paul Tracy. He'll cross the line, and he will bump Ryan Hunter-Reay.
EJ Viso.
That is going to bump his teammate Paul Tracy from the field. That is our 6th bump of the day.
Here's the gun about to go off in 3, 2, 1. That's it.
There it is.
First segment is over.
Mario Moraes, what a great way to complete his comeback here today after the incident earlier in turn number 2.
Let's go, man. You're ready. You gotta go.
I got to tell you something, guys. This tells you what you need to know. Think about it. Elio loves to talk.
Elio, wind it up.
Castroneves is on his way in round 2.
Easily the fastest 4 laps of the month of May. What a way to start the Fast 9 shootout.
Elio Castroneves has not gotten out of his car.
If they let him go out, because Brian Barnhart was saying, if we get towards the end, you're P1 and you're taking up space, we're not going to let you go. But we're not at the very, very end. There is no incentive whatsoever, I don't believe, for Castroneves to even lean on it. Look at that.
You said you're going to wave him off if they do that.
He's got to be close to his timer. I'll wave him off. He can take his warm-up lap as quick as he wants.
That's dirty pull, Brian.
Brian Barnhart, and sure enough, they pulled him. And that's what they should have done. That was a good call.
And away he goes, right behind Elio. Not going to be able to do it. And so Elio Castroneves, in search of his 4th win at Indianapolis, is the pole winner for 2010.
Woo! Let's go, baby!
And that's how it transpired last Saturday. The first 24 were locked in, and we filled the field, of course, on bump day. And here is the way they will start the 2010 Indy 500 with 2 members of Team Penske on the front row, along with one of the Target Chip Ganassi drivers, Castroneves, Power, and Franchitti.
And it's worth noting that Dario Franchitti was a much happier camper after today's practice.
Row number 2, the other member of Team Penske, Ryan Briscoe, Alex Tagliani, and Scott Dixon.
And Dixon is part of that team, Penske. He liked his cars well, and he'd be one guy that I wouldn't count out to win this thing.
Graham Rahal had the slowest speed in today's final practice. Ed Carpenter starts in the middle of row number 3, and Hideki Muto, who went to the finals of the pit stop competition, also in row 3.
And I saw Bobby Rahal, who wasn't around for Graham's attempt, but he was in Laguna Seca, and he watched on TV. He called in and said, guys, that's enough, because he saw that Graham was holding on.
In row number 5 for Sunday's 500-mile race, we will have Mario Moraes on the inside, Davey Hamilton, the oldest driver in the field, and sophomore Mike Conway. Row number 6, Marco Andretti on the inside, his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay in the middle, and Dan Weldon, a former winner of the 500, on outside of row number 6. The 7th row, E.J. Viso, Thomas Schechter, the veteran, and rookie Anna Beatrice.
And you talk about Anna Beatrice. I'm going to be on her pit stand during race day. I'm really excited to be there because if she has a good car, she's going to be going to the front.
Yep. And so will Simona Di Silvestro, who has had a great month of May. Danica Patrick in the middle of it, row number 8. And Bertrand Baguette, another rookie, on the outside. Going back to row number 9, Bruno Junqueira. What a job he did in qualifying that car with very few practice laps. He was the fastest on the second day of qualifying. Alex Lloyd will be in the middle of row number 9, and Mario Romancini on the outside.
And Bruno actually did his fastest lap of the month. Remember, he only ran one day. He did his fastest lap today in final practice.
John Andretti will start 28th. Sarah Fisher in the middle of row number 10, and on the outside, Vitor Mira. And in the 11th row, Takuma Sato, Sebastian Saavedra, and Tony Kanaan on the outside, starting in 33rd position. Robbie Floyd is standing by with Alex Tagliani.
Tag's going to start in the P5 position, signing a few autographs. Always a man in demand, and now I've got you. You ready for this day to start?
Yes, I am. Very excited. I mean, what can I say? I mean, we've been having a great week. The team, the boys, the engineer have done a great job. You know, beat the record of the least amount of lap between the both of our car, you know, for this week. So that shows that we had a good car, and we're looking forward for the race.
You could have a good car and still want to go out there and practice. Why have you spent such few laps out on the track between the two cars?
I mean, the first couple days I did 13, 17, 21 laps, I mean, in line. It's just that, you know, the car was good, and you know, we didn't want to risk it. And also the track was changing. There was wind, different conditions, and also we knew that qualifying was going to be a lot different than the beginning of the week. So we didn't want to continue to set the car up around the beginning of the week and then get totally confused on Friday and Saturday.
When the car is good, it inspires confidence. Have you had any moments out there so far since you've been practicing the past 2 weeks that you went, uh-oh, that almost got me?
No, not once. I mean, and this is, maybe it's bad because it could happen in the race, but not once. The car has been great in traffic, in turbulence. It's good on the long run. So, I mean, we can't really predict. This is not a race you want to predict. If you can't tell me who's going to win it, you just go play, you know, like Lotto. But we're going to try to execute everything right, do our job, and try to be there at the end to try to give the big boys a run of them for their money.
Bruno Junqueira is your teammate. Have you learned anything from him since he's had such few laps? Are you trying to help him, or was he trying to help you a little bit in his little bit of practice?
First time today in the morning that we actually tried something on the car. Believe it or not, since the beginning of the week, we didn't touch one thing on my car other than trimming it for qualifying. And today, obviously, we know that this weather is going to be very representative of Sunday. So we try a couple things and different than the boat car. So it was great to have him as a teammate. It was great to have two cars on the track trying two different things. And for the first time, I was comparing data, and we were comparing the two things we tried. So it was fantastic.
Watch out, to Bauer and Wilkins cars, Alex Tagliani and Bruno Junqueira.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it earlier. If there are dark horses in the race, I think you consider both Tag and Bruno Junqueira as such. Look for them on race day. Alex, a Canadian, starts in the middle of row number 2, and Bruno Junqueira from Brazil will start inside row 9.
And I don't think we can say it enough. What a great job that team has done. That's a brand new team that Tagliani's part of the ownership group, the fast racing team. A lot of credit went to the team manager, Rob Edwards, for what they've gotten done. But you hear Tag say it, and again, you can't emphasize it enough. When you have a team driver that can go out and get data, and you can do 2 different setups on the car and then come back and see what each guy did, it just is that much more helpful and just reassuring versus being one car and it's all put on your shoulders.
It's been a good day here at the Speedway. Practice the Freedom 100 for the Firestone Indy Lights. We've had the pit stop competition, and now ZZ Top is entertaining the crowd at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. More programming here on Versus regarding the Indy 500. Up next, Danica's Decade, an inside look at the events which shaped her career. Tomorrow at 5, you can see the Indy 500 divers in the 500 Festival Parade, followed by the Indy 500 preview at 6:30. And then, after the ABC coverage of the Indy 500 on Sunday, we'll be on at 4:30 with a special post-race show as we wrap it up and break down all the day's action. Here is Jack back in Gasoline Alley.
Yeah, down here at the Versus Pit Central, and we're being serenaded by ZZ Top, which my next guest has reminded me is from his generation as well as my generation. Steve Newey is the partner with Brian Herta in what has become, I think, Steve, maybe the feel-good story so far because of the way you were in the Indy 500 with a 19-year-old rookie, then out of the Indy 500, then back in, and then a phone call, and we've kind of documented it. You've been around here almost as long as I have. Is that the most unusual way that you've had a car get into the Indy 500?
Oh, absolutely, Jack. I mean, we were all ready to close up the garage and go home. And, you know, with about 5 minutes to go in the bump session, it was evident that we were back in potentially. So we got the guys together, and Brian and I went out to pit lane and watched the events unfold, and we were shocked at how it all happened, and we're just very thankful that we're able to start the race.
You know, back in the 60s, the 70s, and even much into the 80s, this was always the Cinderella story where a small team could bankroll it all, gamble it all, put it all on the line, and then go to the Indy 500. It's been a long time since we've had a team such as yours do exactly what you're doing. How many full-time people do you have?
Well, we have about 10 full-time guys, and we've brought on some contract guys that are very, very good as well. And we've had some guys pitch in and volunteer too. So, you know, we've got a really qualified, skilled staff of mechanics, and I tell you, the cars run like a train when it's on track. The guys have done a good job.
But this is a little bit different than, let's say, other sports. Privateers always have an uphill struggle, and yet, if you tried to do this in Major League Baseball or in the National Football League, you would be woefully inadequate, and you would be laughed at. But here, the dream not only is alive, but it's possible and attainable.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're not going to go out there and beat Penske in our first race, or Ganassi, or some of these guys, but you know, our goal is to get Rookie of the Year honors, and Sebastian's perfectly capable of doing that. He's a very talented young man.
Now, what about the response? Because I think America fell in love with the William Rass team with the phone call to Sebastian on Versus. What's been the response from the IZOD IndyCar Nation, the fans?
Well, it's been amazing how much support we've gotten since that all happened, and you know, it's just such a good feeling to see everybody so enthusiastic about Sebastian being in the race and the way it all happened. And you know, we've gotten a lot of congratulations from all over the place and all over the garage, and it's been great.
Let's take a look at the crash, because you were already in the field, but you felt as if you were going to be bumped, and so in the heat of the day, you made what you told me was the only choice you could make so that you knew what you had.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were getting ready to bump our way back into the field if we needed to, because we weren't positive our speed was going to hold up, and we had to go out there, and we had to do some risky changes to the car. And unfortunately, I think we had, you know, just a little bit too big of a change, and Sebastian lost control under very, very slick, greasy conditions, and that was the result. And we thought that was the end of our day.
Can you put into perspective or into layman's words what you and Brian felt like at that moment?
That's hard to describe. I mean, Brian and I had a lot on the line, and you know, for us to miss the race, you know, with the commitments that we have from our sponsors and all our supporters, it would have been hard to recover from. Very, very hard. I think the rest of the year would have been very difficult for us financially, and you know, we're still going to compete for the championship with our Indy Lights program, but just making the show is just a huge deal for us.
And Lindy, it gave cause and pause to many people, because he and his partner, if you remember during the bump day interview when they found themselves back in, coined the phrase for the race team, 2 men in a truck. Yeah. And right now, 2 men in a truck have millions of fans that are pulling for him. Good luck on Sunday to you and Brian, Steve, and to your rookie driver.
Thanks very much, Jack. I appreciate it.
All right, let's check in with Lindy Thaxton. She's caught up with a young man who likes to go fast here.
Oh, he sure does. And EJ, we talked this morning because I was told all 3 of your cars completely changed the setups. Why did you decide to do that on yours?
Well, we were lucky enough to put plenty of laps past Sunday when the track got a lot more temperature, and we just got a feel of our setup, and we believed that it was not good enough when the track was that hot. Basically, today the track was also a bit hot, and we were lucky to do those changes in the car. For me, definitely is the way to go. Today I had a pretty safe car to drive. We still have some minor issues we're trying to solve in the front end of the car, but we're pretty confident. I need to thank the team. They've done a great job. I mean, last week my car was basically totaled, and we're in a backup car, and the car is as strong as the other one.
Yeah, you were the fastest on your team this morning in practice. Talk about what you do now, because we have 2 days. What do you do now in between when you race on Sunday?
Well, I'm going to be just with plenty of appearances with the sponsors, and just chilling with the team, talking about the race strategy. Also trying to stay a bit away from everything I can. Just trying to keep the energies ready for that long race.
I know you were just meeting with your engineer. What types of things were you going over?
Well, we just analyzed a bit this hour testing when we were running in traffic, and how the aerodynamic were affecting on the car. Maybe we can trim it a bit more, maybe not. So one of those things they're trying to come up with.
EJ Vizo, we'll see you on Sunday.
Thank you.
He'll start 19th. He was a first-day qualifier, but Sebastian Saavedra, of course, that we talked to Steve Newey about, was a second-day qualifier on bump day. We showed you the recap of pole day last Saturday. Here's a recap of bump day last Sunday. This is bump day, the final day of qualifying.
Yellow flag, Tony Kanaan. Spun contact with the safer barriers. Oh, what a rough month for a favorite here at the Speedway.
Sebastian Saavedra has crashed.
They don't have another car. They needed to go out to get a read on the car in case they got bumped. And now if you are, you've got nothing to fight back with.
Now it's out of our hands. Now we just got to sit and watch. But, you know, I think we're in trouble.
The 7-Eleven car is back on pit lane, struggling to get this car to the point of making the field.
Put her in a show, baby. We need you.
Let's see what it is. The checkered flag waves. At the moment, he is on the outside of row number 10, so he is safe.
I've never thought starting in 32nd place in the Indianapolis 500 feels better than the on the pole.
The run is complete for Mario Romancini. He bumps his way into the race. Saavedra is out. Eric Bachelard makes a great move, withdrawing him and getting him more solid into the field.
Takuma Sato trying to make the field with 17 minutes to go.
Takuma Sato qualifies and bumps Jay Howard.
Paul Tracy. Welcome to the bubble. Jay Howard, a pressure cooker right now with 13 minutes to go.
Jay Howard not quick enough to bump Paul Tracy. Paul Tracy at 5:50 has withdrawn his time, which means that Jay Howard is back in the field and on the bubble.
Final precious minutes at Indy. Emotional time for Jay Howard, Paul Tracy, and their team.
Did he rub it? If he didn't, he came close.
Let's see what happens. This is going to be a bonsai run.
No, he's high again. Oh. He might have taken himself out of the Indy 500.
Jay Howard is safe for the moment. The yellow flag comes out. 6 minutes to go. Paul Tracy pulls his time, and he's not in the field.
gamble, and it doesn't pay off, and Howard is in for now.
Jay Howard has withdrawn his time. He is on the bubble, but he's going back out. He's going to try to take it out of anybody else's hands.
There's not enough time for another qualifier after this. This is it, a minute and a half to go.
So Saavedra goes back on the bubble, and Paul Tracy, because he withdrew the time, will not go back into the 33rd slot.
There's the gun, and Paul Tracy will be left out.
Here's the checkered flag. Qualifications are over for 2010. The final qualifier, Jay Howard, and he does not make the 500. Sebastian Saavedra is the 33rd starter.
It's a hard blow.
I honestly can't believe this is happening. I mean, it's not from a lack of trying. That's pretty detrimental to our year. You know, I think it was the best decision that we had to make, though, with everything what Paul was doing, and that's racing.
I told him, you're in, buddy. Fate was on our side today because that's the only way I can explain it. And you don't know what this meant to our team because we put everything on the line to make this race.
The emotion of bump day and getting into the Indianapolis 500. Today, however, has been a little bit lighter. We had the practice for the IZOD IndyCar Series, and then the Firestone Freedom 100, and then we had, of course, the pit stop competition. Even on a less serious note, we go down to Robbie Floyd.
I don't know. It's some pretty serious stuff here at Dreyer and Reinbold. Of course, Dad's Root Beer, a sponsor on Mike Conway's car. Oh, that's poured in big Schechter style right there. That I want to see you drink out of it, though, if anything, Thomas. Now, doing this for the fans and everybody trying to represent Dad's Root Beer, you weren't messing around.
No, it's a much bigger cup this way. We can just have it out. Just have a sip. I want to see him have a sip here. What does that taste?
Delicious. It's delicious.
It's amazing. It's good to come out here, and I've never had one of these before, so it's my first time enjoying with Dad's Root Beer and enjoying with my teammates as well.
And I'm sure everybody's going to be enjoying you on those first couple of laps because he always makes it exciting. This is your third time for the Indy 500. You ready to get this thing going?
Yeah, I can't wait. You know, obviously this last week has been the media week, but you know, I think we're all pretty focused now, ready to go, and looking forward to Sunday.
New team for you this year. All has been well?
Yeah, everything's great here at Dreyer and Reinbold, and having a couple extra teammates at this race has been fun. You know, and Thomas always brings some excitement, and Anna's doing a great job. So it's been a good, fun team. Hopefully the Z-Line Design guys can help me out on Sunday, and we'll move forwards.
And a new teammate, but fellow Brit, Mike Conway. Mikey, how's the car after you know, practice laps today?
Yeah, good. I mean, just running laps, just making sure we're good in traffic. You know, that's going to be the main thing on Sunday. And yeah, it was turning well and doing what I wanted it to. So yeah, but I got one of these prepared for you. So
and if anybody has been practicing, I'm sure it's the Dad's Root Beer car. Anna Beatrice saw a little mishap coming into the pits today, but better today than Sunday.
Yeah, today is to push hard, then feel the experience. So I learned some things today. It was good.
It's a learning experience here at the Indianapolis 500. Anna Beatrice is the top lady on the first day of qualifying. We still have more things ahead. We're going to wrap things up here at Carb Day at the Indianapolis 500, the 94th running of the Indy 500. We'll be back.
Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Carb Day, the final activity here at the Speedway. Well, they have the public drivers meeting tomorrow before the 500 Festival Parade, but the cars won't be on the racetrack again until Sunday, and they get the command to start engines. This year has special memories for me here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was 50 years ago that I saw my first 500. My dad brought me here. We parked in downtown Indianapolis and rode the train to the Speedway. It was a great day. We sat in Grandstand C on the main straightaway, and when the cars came down to take the green flag, the 33 Offie-powered cars, the sound was deafening, just the way I wanted it. The 1960 race was one of the most competitive in history. I remember standing up in my seat in the second half of the race, looking toward turn number 4 to see if Roger Ward or Jim Rathman would be leading that lap. The 1960 race was special to me because it was my first and because it was with my dad, who was very much a part of my passion for auto racing. The 1960 race has come and gone, and I've entered these grounds thousands of times since then. But every time I come in here, I get that same special feeling that I did when I came the very first time. This Sunday, I will proudly and unashamed have tears rolling down my cheeks as they have taps and say the invocation. I will pray for a safe race. I'll thank God for all my blessings, and I will also thank him for allowing me to be just a very, very small part of what was in 1960, what is now, and what will always be the greatest spectacle in racing. That's what I have to say. You?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On 50 years. You know, I watched the recap of pole day and bump day, and I can't keep all the different highs and lows straight. But if that's anything, it is what race day is going to be all about. And you never know what you got till that green flag comes out, no matter how much preparation, Jan.
And when you look at the history, there's a chance, obviously, at the record books being changed yet again this year. And I think it'll be the closest competition we've seen for a while. These guys were racy today.
Should be fun. We will have the post-race show, of course, on at 4:30. And coming up next, here on Versus, Danica's Decade. Sunday, we will be on at 4:30 Eastern Time for our Indy 500 post-race special. For more information on the IZOD IndyCar Series, go to Versus.com. For Jack Arute, Robbie Floyd, Lindy Thaxton, Jan Beekes, and Robbie Buell, I'm Bob Jenkins. Thank you for joining us for all the activity here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
We can break out, we can be free, faster and faster, you and me.
The Versus Indy 500 preview show is your last stop before the big race. Tomorrow at 6:30 only on Versus.